Let me today ask you a very simple question. Have you ever taken time to ask yourself what kind of a relationship you have with yourself? Several times, even we coaches, when we train people, we talk about relationship, and we always tend to talk about relationship between us and others. In today's video, I'm going to take you through a vigorous discussion that is going to help you understand that the most difficult and essential relationship that a person needs to understand is the relationship you have with yourself. The reason why I tend to say that a relationship between you and yourself is the most difficult relationship is that you can never walk away from yourself. You can never divorce yourself. You can never break up with yourself. You can never say that, I'm sick and tired of you, and you try to take yourself and leave it somewhere else and you come pick it later. You're always with yourself. So people need to understand that if you cannot understand the relationship that you have with yourself, your flaws, your mistakes, your achievements, your strengths, the things that you do properly and the things that you don't do properly, then it is so difficult for you to even have an extended relationship with other people. I tend to tell my students that the most important thing you need to learn as a person is forgiving yourself. We are human beings. We will make some flaws. I know so many people who have, missed a lot of opportunities because they are still fighting with themselves. You're still questioning yourself, why in the first place did I get into this relationship? Why in the first place did I allow this to happen? You're still questioning yourself a lot of things. You do not know how to forgive yourself. You see, people talk about forgiveness. But when you mention forgiveness, people think about other people. Forgiving their friends, forgiving their parents, forgiving their children, forgiving the people who do bad to them, forgiving people that they call their enemy. But have you ever asked yourself, when last did you forgive yourself? A lot of people today are living with a lot of debts of unforgiven mistakes and flaws in themselves. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, unless we talk to you to understand that, you need to sit with yourself and start to forgive yourself. The moment you begin to forgive yourself, to understand that you have these flaws, and it is not your mistake that those flaws are there. It is not your mistake that you have the weaknesses that you have in you. It is not your mistake that you were born the way you were born. It is not your mistake that you are not making it at 20 or at 30 or at 40. But listen here. Always remember that if you did not make it at 20, you can still make it at 30. If you don't make it at 30, you can still make it at 40. If you don't make it at 40, you can still make it at 50. And my dear, do not be worried if you don't make it at 50. You still have a long way to live, and you can still make it. The moment we realize that what is holding us back is ourselves, because we don't forgive ourselves. We keep on asking ourselves a lot of questions that we cannot get their answers. And the answers to all these questions is forgiving ourselves the past that we never lived in the best way or the best form that we expected to. Expectations are killers. The moment you start living on an expectation, that is what you're going to have. The moment you start thinking about failing, that is what you're going to have. The moment you start thinking about, this thing is hard, that is what you're going to have. It will always be hard. The moment you start thinking about, we are poor, we were born poor, and that is what you're going to have. And that's why today I talk to my fellow Africans. We keep on asking ourselves that we have all the resources, the natural resources that are required to make a continent rich. But Africa is not becoming rich. Why? Because our tongue and the tongue of every person around us, be it an African or non-African, we all talk about Africans to be poor. So poverty lives in us because we have not forgiven ourselves because of having been born in Africa, having been born without these facilities that can enable us to use the natural resources in the best way to get to be rich, just like some other countries. If you translate that to your personal life, you must realize that every kind of a situation in your life today that is not right requires a forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself. You need to draw yourself back and start thinking positively towards making the corrections of the things that never worked in the best way that you expected them to work. I want you to take a moment and reflect on yourself. And I want you to make a comment in the comment section. Tell me, what are you going to do differently in your life that you have not been doing? Let's do it down there, and let's encourage each other to do this, to think about that one thing that you have never done, to allow you forgive yourself and start your life again. Remember, a poor person is a person who is dead. A failure is a person who is dead. In as long as you can still breathe, in as long as you can still see, talk, touch, sense, feel, you're not a failure. Forgive yourself, retract yourself back, put things into their perspective, march forward. God is watching. He's only waiting for you to trigger the positive mindset to make things work. You are a champion. You're not a failure. You have never failed. You have been going through experiences. If you forgive yourself through the track that you have been thinking that is a failure, and you get yourself back into the path of success, you will start to see different things happening in your life. My name is John Gora. I'm a life coach. If this was your first time on my YouTube channel, never forget to subscribe and also put the notification bell on so YouTube can always remind you every time I post videos here. Remember, you have to keep smiling, because the more we smile at the world, the more the world smiles back at us. See you in the next video.